Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something quite challenging. We often talk about how systemic racism and white supremacy cause devastating harm, mainly to black individuals, that's undeniable. But our sources today point somewhere else too. They reveal these significant, often overlooked costs, harms that actually fall upon white society itself.
Exactly. It's a difficult thing to unpack, but that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to look at these, unseen costs to show how systems that were, designed to give one group an advantage, they actually end up diminishing the well-being, the potential, really, of everyone.
So it's not a zero-sum game where if one group gains, another must lose.
No, not according to this research. It's more like a negative-sum game, where ultimately everybody loses out in some way.
Okay, so to really get into this, maybe we should quickly define our terms, just to be clear. First, systemic racism. What are we talking about there?
Right. So systemic racism it's racism that's baked into the systems of society. Things like laws, policies, everyday practices. It's often subtle, maybe even unconscious. One source described it like the iceberg's more dangerous part, the hidden bulk beneath the surface. It shapes things like economics, healthcare, you name it.
Got it. And the other term, white supremacy.
Yeah, white supremacy is the underlying ideology. It's the belief, basically, that white people, their culture, their institutions are fundamentally superior. And this belief, it structures how society is organized top to bottom. What's really key, according to the sources, is that structural racism is basically white supremacy in action. It's how that ideology gets embedded.
Okay, so how does understanding this, how does it connect back to the listener, to you? Why is this important beyond just, an academic understanding?
That really is the crucial question, because grasping these systems isn't just about understanding someone else's experience. It's fundamental to seeing how our whole society works, or sometimes doesn't work. It impacts your opportunities, our collective well-being, in ways that might not be immediately obvious.
Right, so where do these costs show up first? Maybe economically.
Yeah, the economic impact is a big one in the sources. They really highlight how these systems create massive inefficiencies. Sure, some individuals or groups might benefit from what one source calls unjustly gained political economic power, but the bigger picture shows things like continuing economic inequalities, leading to what's termed a diminished return for Black Americans, even when they achieve higher education.
So resources aren't being used optimally.
Exactly. Think about it. If a whole segment of the population can't fully participate or contribute, that means a smaller tax base, less consumer spending overall, and it actually drags down the entire nation's competitiveness. It's like trying to run a national economic engine on, half its cylinders. That impacts your local economy, your taxes.
Okay, that makes sense. What else? Beyond just dollars and cents.
Well, there's a significant cost to innovation and sort of collective progress. When talented people from certain groups are systematically held back or excluded, you end up with what the research calls a suboptimal and demographically narrow research and innovation system.
Meaning we're missing out on ideas.
We're absolutely missing out. Imagine the breakthroughs in medicine, in technology, maybe renewable energy, even art that we might have missed, simply because potential contributors were shut out. It's like we've put this intellectual handicap on ourselves as a society, and that slows down solutions to problems that affect absolutely everyone.
That's a powerful point. And socially, how does this play out in communities?
Socially, the impact is profound. Segregation is a direct outcome, right? And that creates these vastly different neighborhood contexts, as one source puts it. It really lowers social cohesion. The research is pretty clear here. White supremacy actively worked to discourage white people from building alliances, even alliances with Black Americans, where they actually shared common economic or political interests.
So sacrificing potential shared benefits to maintain the hierarchy.
Precisely. Things like better healthcare for everyone or fairer wages for all working people, these potential gains get sidelined. It ends up weakening the political voice and economic clout of many white individuals too, those who could have benefited from broader coalitions. It just leads to a less connected, less powerful society overall.
Wow. And this must have psychological effects too.
Definitely. The sources talk about this quite a bit. White privilege, for example, is described as sometimes functioning like a veil of ignorance. It's like this buffer that can prevent individuals from fully seeing or understanding the reality of systemic oppression for others. This kind of not knowing, as it's put, can get in the way of self-reflection, maybe even lead to a loss of awareness of one's own cultural background, ironically.
And that connects to things like white fragility.
It does. That term describes an inability to handle conversations about race or racism without becoming, defensive or upset. This sort of racial insulation, living in environments where race isn't discussed, frankly, builds an expectation for comfort. And that lowers the ability to handle racial stress, which ultimately hinders personal growth and mutual understanding for everyone trying to build bridges.
So pulling this all together,
Yeah.
what's the main takeaway from the sources?
The core finding is pretty stark, really. Systemic racism, white supremacy, it's not a zero-sum game. It's not just one group winning while another loses. The research frames it as a negative-sum game.
Meaning everyone loses something.
Yes. The entire society, including white members, ends up suffering. You see reduced potential, weakened social connections, these profound psychological burdens we talked about.
So it's the economic drag, the missed innovation, the fractured social ties, the psychological weight.
Exactly. All these costs are interconnected. The research really shows how deeply embedded these systems are and how keeping them going actually takes a heavy toll on every part of society.
Okay, so if we accept that maintaining these systems creates these deep self-limiting costs for all of us, what does truly internalizing that mean? What does it mean for how we think about building a future that's more equitable, more resilient, and genuinely more prosperous for everyone?